Hello and welcome to Cards and Coaching. In this video, I would like to talk about evolution, the evolution of tarot, but also the evolution of people who read tarot and the evolution of our world, that world we use those cards in. So to explain the world as well as our situation in it. I'm not going to bring up a discussion about where does tarot come from. There are a lot of ideas of that it was a tool to work on yourself altogether from the beginning on, and other ones say that the first ideas of tarot were a playing game, a card game. I think for me, it is more important to explain the evolution I have seen when I first touched tarot until now, and I am pretty sure it will still go on. It hasn't stopped evolving. We haven't stopped evolving, and the world hasn't stopped evolving. So when I started getting into touch with tarot, there were two kinds of people. So on one side, you had the people who used tarot for taking a look into the future. You still have that in a certain way. And on the other side, you had those people who used tarot to work on themselves. So the ones who worked on themselves, they explained in the beginning that you needed to know about Kabbalah, elsewhere you didn't understand tarot. Later on, it was you needed to understand astrology, or you couldn't use tarot. It's an opinion. It is legit, but I think there are other possibilities. On the other side, in the beginning, people were very much into taking a look into the future. And maybe today there are a lot of people who explain that those are only possibilities and not one set in stone future. So the things evolved in the way to find out about yourself. There were also people who brought in the idea of psychology, for example, Carl Gustav Jung's idea of archetypes. And so there was an evolution to be seen. And also the cards themselves evolved. So there were a lot of people who started making new decks, and with the time they brought up modern things. I give you two examples. For example, the tarot of 78 78 doors brought up the car as the chariot, and in Prisma Vision Tarot that same idea comes up. But you also today you find computers, for example, or cell phones in tarot cards. So I think it is something very important because it explains that also the cards have evolved to fit into our world from today. But there is something else coming up. As people start changing their point of view and their look at the world and themselves, and they start working with themselves or working on themselves far more, they get a different way also to take a look at the cards. And what I think is very important is that this doesn't mean that the explanation itself changes, but you can see that the card or the explanation of the card may fit onto different frames of reality. I would like to bring up one card as an example. It is the Ten of Swords. So the basic explanation is feeling helpless and there is no way out and so on. But what I think is very interesting is that over the last month, whenever someone came up with that card and explained a situation, the person they used the cards on had surgery. So logical in a certain way. The person is still helpless, so that part is true. And well, maybe not with 10 swords, but the person will be cut open, the person will be cut. So you can already see from a normal situation where you get an explanation for the card, you can come up with something absolutely pragmatic like a surgery, and still the explanation fits. And this also works for something else, the psychological part of it. So the Lady of Quartz Tree Tarot You will find her link later on in the explanation. She came up with the psychological part of that card. Cutting yourself, harming yourself, hurting yourself. Because that is the moment that people feel helpless enough to turn against themselves or to use this to have a certain kind of feeling because they are helpless to feel what is going on in their life. And so again, the basic explanation of the cards still stays exactly the same, and it still fits into now a psychological explanation. So for me, what I am trying to explain is that it is very important that we start understanding that the symbolism of tarot cards is strong enough and flexible enough at the same time to fit into the different situations, into the different levels of existence without the the explanation itself to be changed. It is still the same core explanation of the card that can show up in every situation of our life. So I will bring up later on another video where I'm going to show you that, for example, the court cards that can be used in a normal spread to show you different people in your life, it can also show you your inner parts of personality, like for example the transaction analysis. So I will explain this later on in another video. So at this moment, I thank you very much for listening and for watching, and I thank the lady of Quartz Tree Tarot for this amazing idea concerning this Ten of Swords. Thank you.